to pay off a debt service. That bond will be paid for in 2013, and the balance will go to youth emergency shelters. So it's a change from what they were originally going to do to this, which I think is much more cost effective.
And just to add to that, if I may. The other thing that satisfies me on this is the fact that when the lady was here from the organization, I had asked her about making sure that this was going to people who are here in this country and need help legally. And they use E-Verify to make sure that the people who receive help are actual citizens. So that was another thing that was a selling point for me as well.
Comments, questions, Mayor? I am at a little bit of a disadvantage with this bill because I have not read HB 2060, and so I don't know some of the nuances here with regards to my colleague's comment about following the law. However, what we do have before us is that it's mentioned that the surcharge is authorized by HB 2060. And do we have any information as to whether it's mandated and required that counties provide the surcharge, or whether that it's an avenue for that surcharge should the county decide to go that direction? Do we know?
I don't know the answer to that specifically. My belief is that it's not by county. My belief is that it's by jurisdiction.
Well, the county is the recording agent, and recording happens at a county level. So I would imagine that if there is discretion, that it would be at the county level, since they're the recording agent. But I apologize, I don't recall whether it is a mandated collection or whether it is an authorized collection should a county choose to institute the program.
So we've got, what, 30 seconds to read this now? Okay.
Right. Other than the original.
Two comments very quickly. First of all, I take great comfort in the fact that Molly's on that board. I feel a lot more comfortable with your administering these funds if they're going to be administered, and it appears they are. My objections notwithstanding. For Councilman Russell, I would say only one thing, and that is that, and I understand your concerns. The government when it operates in this sphere, squeezes out the private sector, which I think can handle these situations much more directly and much more efficiently. And I think that if the government were not in this business, private sector organizations would step up. And so that's my concern, is that government is, again, taking over a function that is better handled by the private sector and squeezing the private sector out.
Other comments from council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I have heard a lot of very good arguments here tonight, and I agree, I should say they resonate with me. The challenge I find with some of this is that what we have before us is an amendment to an interlocal agreement, if I understand, interlocal cooperation agreement, just changing the agreement, not really establishing it, not having the option to change it or to abolish it. And this puts us in sort of a bind, and we've had many discussions with about interlocal agreements recently. And one of the discussions has always been, well, we can always pull out. In this one case, as it was just pointed out with the text of the SB 2060, it's actually mandated by law that this be charged by the county, unfortunately. So the county does not have the choice unless we do change it at the state legislature level, which is a different discussion perhaps for lobbying our state legislature. And it is, as far as the use of the funds that they have right now, I think that the direction that they're going away from capital projects and shifting more towards maintenance of existing projects is actually a fairly wise one within the mandate, if we set aside whether the mandate's a wise idea or not. With that, I yield the floor.
Other comments, questions? Okay, I've got a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to sign the amended interlocal cooperation agreement between Clark County and the other cities within Clark County. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion carries. Moving to Agenda Bill 15310, the supplemental professional services agreement with Paul Lewis. Dave, do you want to take this one?
Would you like a brief staff report? Before you is a supplemental professional services agreement with Paul Lewis. The scope of services that's being requested is his review of the financial considerations for the potential consolidation of fire services between the cities of Camas and Washougal. And as we've discussed at workshops, Mr. Lewis has done some of this work already for Camas in some previous analyses that they were doing, and he's very familiar with our own financial situation and our revenue structure and our expenditure structure around fire and emergency services. And so the advice of your ad hoc committee, which consists of 2 council members from each community, mayors, administrators, fire chiefs, as well as attended by representatives from labor and our volunteer group, their advice is to have Mr. Lewis undertake this level of analysis as opposed to a more full-blown financial and operational analysis, and to do this initial step first. And so the agreement, our portion of the agreement would be up to $2,000. The scope that you see does refer to an amount closer to $4,000, and then depending upon exactly how Camas chooses to pay, they'll either pay through us to Paul or they'll pay directly. But our expenditure will not exceed $2,000, and he can get started right away upon your approval.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to, for Agenda Bill 153-10, that we pass it. Huh? For you to sign it.
I'll second.
I've got a motion and a second. Council discussion?
I have. Mr. Lewis has definitely earned my respect in the things that he has brought to us. I find him very competent and very thoughtful, and that's a great combination. The one thing that I am also encouraged about having him involved in this process is if this consolidation does go forward, this is a big deal, and we're talking about a lot of money. And I would much rather have a thorough analysis that's going to tell us, you know what, it's going to be expensive up front, but it'll save you money in the long run, or this isn't financially feasible. I would much rather have someone, overseeing the entirety who's kind of an independent broker through this whole process. So I do encourage my colleagues to vote in support of this.
Rod?
Yeah, I want to support this as well. It's we in our group in this consolidation group talking about this. This is probably the least expensive way to get a large amount of bang for our buck. If we get into this and it looks financially feasible, then we get into the meat of the whole process, and that's organizationally how it works. And if it doesn't work out financially, we felt that this was the quickest and simplest to get a financial aspect and take a quick look at it. And if it blows us out of the water, we're done, instead of waiting to hire some consultant that somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000 or $50,000, if that's the case. We don't know that number yet, but that's generally where it's been in the past with other places that are talking about this. So this